Hi everyone, this is Julianne Victoria of Through the Peacock's Eyes. Welcome to my channel and welcome to the 2021 Year Ahead Vedic Astrology readings. These readings will be based on your Vedic Astrology Ascendant or Moon sign. You can listen to both to kind of get a fuller picture of the year ahead. If you don't know your Vedic Astrology Ascendant or Moon sign, you can Google search a free online Vedic Astrology calculator and you should be able to get those there. Make sure it says it is Vedic Astrology or Indian Astrology or Sidereal Astrology, so you can get the correct signs. And they'll likely to be a sign different than your Western astrology ones, though there is a little overlap in there as well. Now, during these videos, I may reference a few of the things, the books, the decks I've created that I created to help other people learn Vedic astrology. The first one is my book, Shedding Light on Jyotisha, Vedic Astrology for Beginners, and I have a video or two on my channel where I talk about that a little bit more in depth, but the links are all down below in the description box if you're interested in checking that out. I also have a Vedic Astrology Oracle and the Vedic Astrology Study Deck, which would be a great tool to learn Vedic astrology. I also have a course, Shedding Light on Your Karma and Dharma in Vedic Astrology. It's a mini course. It's about an hour and a half long. Bunch of little videos broken up, and it's only $11. Again, the link is below if you want to check that out to start to learn how to look at your chart and look at your karma and dharma. Like, why are you here? What are you here to do? What are you here to learn? How are you here to grow? I will be hopefully soon in the new year have my next course, which I go through the nakshatras in Vedic astrology. Journey through the nakshatras is probably the title. I haven't officiated that yet. So hopefully that will be out soon or in the early part of 2021. And if you're interested in a reading for the year ahead, Vedic astrology, I also do Western astrology, tarot readings. Those you can purchase on my website. I will be reopening readings November 22nd or so. I've been closed for a while to focus on my book. So you can sign up for my newsletter to be notified or just check back to my website, juliannevictoria.com. Again, links are all below if you want to book a reading with me or schedule a recorded reading for the year ahead for you. Okay, all that being said, let's move on to your horoscope for the year ahead. The charts you will see will be charts laid out based on your ascendant or moon sign, so you, the viewer, can have a clearer understanding of where the transits are as the year begins and how that lays out for you for the year ahead. All right, thank you everyone and enjoy your reading. Hi Capricorn, welcome to your 2021 Year Ahead Vedic Astrology reading. For those who are new to Vedic astrology, the house numbers are here on the perimeter. The signs for the houses are within the houses, and the ones in colors are for the planets. So Capricorn, let's start here in your first house. So this is a chart for January 1st, so a chart that lays out the year ahead for you. And I just adjusted the time of that day, so Capricorn is the first house. So you could see how this might lay on top of your natal chart. And of course, a personal reading will give you more details. Okay, Capricorn, so Capricorn Ascendant or Capricorn Moon. We have, as the year begins, as you probably already know, Saturn and Jupiter conjoined, and they're very close, within 1 degree, in your first house. And first house is the house of the self. Now, Capricorn, your ruler is Saturn. And so another way to say this is Saturn is in his own sign of Capricorn. He's very happy and at home and strong, and at his, it's Saturn's stable energy, but at his most stable and secure. And we have this combination of Saturn and Jupiter, and they've been doing this dance of being in the same sign and out, and it's approximately a 2-year experience, if that's what you want to say. I did make a video talking about Saturn and Jupiter together, where I discuss all the Western and Vedic transits, and I'll pin that at the top of the comments below if you want to check that out to see how to work with these energies together. But in this combination, Saturn has the upper hand, and I've said that in many videos over the past year, because this is Saturn's home, Capricorn. Jupiter is debilitated in Capricorn, so his energy is much, much weaker. It doesn't mean the Jupiter energy is completely gone and washed out. It depends on how you choose to handle this, how you express your free will. But because you are a Capricorn and Saturn is your ruler, you're probably the sign that's most at ease with this combination. You're not feeling so much of the struggle between Saturn and Jupiter. Now, Saturn represents longevity, solid foundations. Saturn likes to encourage things that you're doing wherever his transited to last long term. And this is in the house of the self, you, the individual. And I feel this year of 2021, Capricorn, that you're going to feel more grounded and focused and aware of who you are. Now, Saturn can trigger transformation. So this feeling I'm getting is either as a result of 2020, which I've been picking up a lot for the readings, but it can also take place in 2021, depending on your natal chart and how all the drishtis lay out and so on. But overall, this feels very stabilizing for Capricorns out there. Now, the Jupiter energy, and Capricorn's going to be here for 2021 and 2022, so a while. The Jupiter energy. So Jupiter is here for about 2/3 of 2021, and I'll give the dates in a moment. Jupiter being debilitated. Jupiter likes to, brings growth and expansion. He's often thought of as good luck. He's considered the most auspicious planet. Being debilitated, he doesn't get to do that. He gets restricted by very strong Saturn here. And those two energies can butt head. You could be so centered and grounded and focused that you're excessively stubborn, which is a tendency of Capricorn already. Or you can let yourself be a little bit more flexible. You still have to be patient with the Saturn energy, patient with yourself, because this is about you, the individual, patient with who you are, patient with any personal growth going on, patient with how you want to show yourself to the world, not hide away, yet at the same time, be diligent and focused and really working with those obstacles that the Saturn energy can bring in. Now, in Saturn, people usually dread Saturn. I like Saturn because he brings us the greatest growth, the greatest lessons. But it's hard when, you're feeling really good in who you are and centered and grounded, and then all of a sudden you feel stuck in your identity or something like that. Sit with that. You have to sit with the Saturn obstacles, because that's Saturn saying, wait, it's not the right time, it's not the right direction, or something else needs to happen first. And I feel most often it's the latter. Something else needs to happen first, because that implies it's not the right time and it's not the right path. So sit with that. And when you work with that Saturn energy, then Jupiter gets to bring in his growth and expansion energy more easily. So in general, Jupiter on the first house, on the ascendant, or the moon, if you're watching this for your moon chart, does bring in growth and expansion of the self. But it comes with patience and diligence and hard work and being grounded and realizing when you're being too stubborn. Okay. But overall, I feel this is really good because you are Capricorn. Okay, so opposite the Saturn and Jupiter, we have the moon here in her own sign of Cancer in your 7th house of relationships, which is a nice placement when it comes to relationships. So 7th house is spouse, partner, but also anyone you're in a close relationship with, like best friends, business partners, or people you would consider your tight circle. And the strong emotional energy indicates deep emotional bonds, developing or enhancing if they're already there, or coming in for you this year. So those Capricorns out there who might be single, you might find a nice emotional bond this year. That doesn't guarantee it for every Capricorn who's single out there. Of course, it depends on your own natal chart as well. But this is a good sign for the year ahead. Oh, and I forgot, Jupiter's transit this year. So he's in Capricorn until mid-April. Then he moves into Aquarius from mid-April to September. And then he's back into Capricorn mid-September through the end of November. And then he moves back into Aquarius in December and into 2022. The times when Jupiter's in Aquarius. Aquarius is also ruled by Saturn in Vedic astrology, but it's much freer, it's more open. Jupiter's not debilitated there. So Jupiter's energy, the term I've been using, what it feels like is much more flexible here. And this is your second house of gains. So gains, money, finances, possessions, also self-worth. And I think the self-worth is important to note here because you have all this energy in your house of the self. So when Jupiter's in your second house of self-worth, that's when your sense of self-worth expands, basically. That's when you really get to feel the growth and the transformation that's been occurring for your individual identity. That's when sort of the results or the gains from your personal individual growth process comes more to your awareness. It doesn't mean it goes away when Jupiter retrogrades back, but that just means there's more deep growth within yourself that's happening, working with the Saturn energy. And then once Jupiter finally moves on at the end of November 2021, then I feel like it's like you come out of your shell completely then. Okay. All right, moving on. Let's talk about the nodes. So we have Rahu here, North Node, if you're coming from a Western astrology perspective, and Ketu, South Node, Western astrology perspective, on your 5th and 11th house axis. Rahu is here in your 5th house. Oh, I should mention, Rahu is in Taurus, Ketu is in Scorpio. These signs are from some sources considered their exaltation signs. Other sources say it's their debilitation. Other sources say it's Sagittarius, Gemini. So from my experience, I just see Rahu and Ketu as significant wherever they are. And I don't consider their exaltation and debilitation because there are many different views out there. Though they can be a little stronger on this axis. Okay, so we have Rahu here in Taurus in your 5th house of creativity. Rahu represents ambition and motivation, the head, the mind, not like Mercury, but in a different way. He can also represent illusion, though I'm feeling it very positive here. So 5th house of creativity, it's also house of romance, which in combination with the moon here in Cancer can be really good for those, again, who are single. It's also the house of children. So if you're looking to start a family, or this year, with Rahu here, you just might be determined to start a family, or it could also be working with kids, like teaching, because 5th house is also education, like primary, secondary school. But I'm really feeling the creative element here. And it could be artistic creativity. It could be something you just want to create in your home. It could be entrepreneurship, and that has come up quite a lot with 5th house. I don't often mention that, but entrepreneurship, because you're creating your own business in some way, is associated with the 5th house, as well as your career, of course. And I'm feeling the Taurus energy strongly for you, because of course you're another earth sign, as is Taurus. Taurus is ruled by Venus, and she's up here conjoined Ketu as the year begins. So there's a lot of focus and determination. And of course, Rahu has a drishti on your 1st house here, to create something, a family, a business, or more importantly, the life that you want. Because again, the 1st house of the self is really the strongest here in your chart as the year begins. Now, opposite Rahu, of course, we have Ketu, as I mentioned, in Scorpio, conjoined Venus here. And what I've been feeling with the Ketu energy here. So in a natal chart, Ketu represents past lives, past karma. It also represents spiritual seeking. What I'm feeling here for Ketu as a transit chart, as a chart for a year ahead, is the past year of 2020. And for you, Capricorn, I'm feeling like what you want to not even break away from. And what I want to say is what you want to continue to break away from, which is very interesting. So we have Ketu here in the 11th house, which is the social house, friends, acquaintances, your network. It's also gains from career. I think with this, it's heavy, but it's strong in a good way energy on your first house of the self and who you are and who you have and maybe are transforming into, and the realizations that come from and how you expand as an individual, is actually supported by, K2 and 11th, you could call it social distancing, has been supported by social distancing. Yeah. And if you haven't already, of course, I'm recording this early in November 2020, but at some point you're going to realize that has really benefited you and your personal growth. And it may be because you realize with this moon in Cancer in your 7th house that you really want more deep, meaningful, emotionally supportive and connecting relationships. So this could be doing away with the superficial, which can kind of be seen with the Venus energy here. But also the Venus energy, because we're on this axis and the nodes work together, this social distancing, time alone, shift or possibly change in your social interactions and maybe who you want to interact with. That has all transformed. It's in transformative Scorpio, but it has opened up this Venus element, this creative element, this self-nurturing, self-care element. And that is supporting, because Venus rules Taurus and it's on this axis, what you want, what you are determined and motivated and driven to create for yourself, for your life in the year of 2021. Okay, let's talk about the Sun and Mercury up here in the sign of Sagittarius. It's your 12th house in your chart. 12th house is the house of the psyche, the collective unconscious, yoga, meditation, shamanism, moksha, liberation. The Sun in these readings, so in a natal chart, the Sun represents your soul. In these readings, what I'm feeling is the Sun is representing like where you shine the brightest in the year ahead, or where like the greatest joy comes out of your heart. It's hard to describe, but it's something like that type of feeling. You have the Sun here in the 12th, along with Mercury, the intellectual mind. And I feel this combination is like not so much searching and seeking, but exploring the depths of your psyche, or exploring spirituality. Could specifically be through yoga, through meditation, or other shamanic means, but exploring the very intangible spirit realm. Now, I want to point out here, Mercury rules Virgo as well as Gemini, but I just want to point out, because Virgo is your 9th house of spirituality and religion, it could play in through religion, but it feels more, it's like turning within, looking within yourself. So meditation, introspection, self-inquiry, yoga. It could even be journeying, shamanic journeying, astral traveling. It could be in your dreams, because 12th house is the dream time. But a great joy comes to you, comes to your soul through inner exploration. And I think that's a good balance for this heavy but good individual ego, physical identity growth and transformation that's been happening and will probably continue to happen for the next year, maybe two. It helps balance that out, turning within. And even this combination here, say social distancing, breaking away from, let's say, superficial relationships, time for yourself, self-care, self-love, to support what you want to create, what you're determined to create for yourself, enhanced by inner work, which needs this time alone. Meditation, you can't do, when you're socializing, needs this support. So it's all very supportive and coming mutually supportive. So it's a big year for you, Capricorn. It's a big year for you to grow into, develop, express, and create who you are and have been becoming. So lastly, we have Mars here. Mars is also in his own sign of Aries. He also rules Scorpio. In your 4th house of home, family, property. It's also other things like mother and ancestors and past karma and so on. Excited, vibrant, possibly new, because it is Aries, energy put into your home or into your family. And this combination here could be like, yes, you want to start a family, you're determined to do that this year. It could play out in your actual physical home, like your apartment or house. Also, this house, 4th house, is also things like vehicles. There's a lot of energy here, and it feels new. So this won't play out, of course, for every Capricorn, but if you're hoping to move this year, move somewhere completely new, or move somewhere where you have freedom to, I want to say freedom to move, like not move your home, but for those Capricorns who say you have a bunch of roommates or something, or you're living in a space that's really small, that like freedom of physical movement, I feel is important. Or somewhere where you can go outdoors and be physically active, because Mars represents physical activity, athletics. Freedom of movement that may need a physical move of residence to have, if that makes sense. But otherwise, in general, Mars in the 4th means you're going to be very active at home. So whatever that means for you, whether it's, projects at home, creating things at home, starting a business from home, or you do move and you're able to be more physically active in your home and around your home in the surroundings. Okay, Capricorn, that is your general look at the year ahead, how the year starts out, and sort of the layout for the year to come. Of course, how this all works on your natal chart will give more details. Thank you for watching. Share this with any Capricorns you know out there. Thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing, and I'll see you back here soon.